Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to ILHAM, and welcome to this morning's program, ILHAM Conversations with Liew Kung Yu, one of Malaysia's leading contemporary artists, who is known for his sculptural photographic works and his innovative, varied, and painstaking use of material and modes of expression. Today, Kung Yu will be talking about his process and artistic practice spanning over 30 years. This program is in conjunction with our current exhibition on Level 5, Boom Boom Bang, Play and Parody in 1990s KL. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Liew Kung Yu.
Thank you, everybody. It's really good to see a lot of familiar faces. A lot of my friends is here. And also, it's also good to see new faces as well. First, I would like to express my gratitude to ILHAM Gallery to actually bring back, not only inviting me, but bring back the 90s. I think that was an exciting period for, practitioners like us, and especially the four curators, Rahel, Simon Soon, who is now in Australia, and then Azad. Azad is behind the camera here. And then Rizwan is here as well. I think Rizwan, where is it? He's here at the back. So thanks for the four curators to bring this show back. And also not forgetting Saza, who just introduced me. While we were installing the work, she's like, waiting up, very patient, waiting for us and all that. And also, now that the show is up, the gallery sitter, especially my work is actually interactive, so it's a bit challenging for them. So, and also the production team as well. Yeah. Okay. My talk today will be conducted in two parts. I want to share a bit more than just me being a visual artist, because I think what I did before does help to, maybe build who I am later in my practice. So the second part, which is titled Crossing the Line, will focus on my artistic philosophy and my approach to pushing boundaries, and especially in photography. So the focus will be mainly in photography part of my work, because I got hundreds and hundreds of slides, and I don't think I can show everything here, but even today I have like 125 slides, so I'll try to see if I can finish. If not, then I will stop whenever the time is up, where Saza is going to give me the cue. So I never set up to be an artist in a very conventional sense. I guess it's, who I am. So in the early 80s, after working with my publishing firm, which run by my family, I decided to return to the art school. By the way, please allow me to read from my text. I'm not so good at public speaking. So after working with my dad in the publishing firm, I decided to return to the art school to pursue my passion, which is actually fine art. However, when I apply to the art school, they actually don't have a fine art course because there's not enough students. So they said, well, we have graphic design. It's the same anyway. So I thought, I was like, because I was desperate, wanted to go to art school. So I said, okay, I'll just take that. So I spent 3 years and then studying being a graphic designer, even though it wasn't my first choice, but it was my first step into the creative world. So by chance, after studying graphic design and being a graphic designer as well, I found myself designing for theater by chance, because I was actually doing a English course in British Council, and the teacher was teaching us. She actually is directing a play called Absent Friends, and so this is my first poster design for a theater, and this is when I first get to know Joe Kukadas. And I didn't realize, but and it's such a small world. And then, we are in the same show now. And this was like back in the 87. I think a lot of you are not even born yet. So this unexpected opportunity led me to a deeper involvement in the local theatre scene, where I collaborate with companies such as Philharmonic Society, the Libra Society, Five Arts Center, Sutra Dance Company, working with Ramli Ibrahim and many more. So these are some of the publicity materials that I did for like Ramli Ibrahim, and then a lot of this here is for Five Arts Center. Beside doing being a graphic designer, eventually I moved on further to be more involving in the theatre, where I start designing costume and also designing set. This one is Suara Rimba with Five Arts, and this one also Suara Rimba, and this is Hand Roaster in Penang, and this is Silat for GTF. So one of my more treasured experience was designing the grand stage for the opening of Visit Malaysia here, 1990. Unfortunately, I don't have any documentation here, but this was working with the late Ismail Zain. And Ismail Zain, his work, the amazing digital work is also upstairs on the 5th floor. And he was actually the director for the production, for the launch. And actually, Ismail Zain also the one who responsible for introducing children's theatre department in KBN when he was the Minister of Tourism in KBN. So he actually is also responsible for that. Yeah. So beyond theatre, one of my sincere passion is working with community as well. And I was working on numerous cultural and heritage engagement project. So this one, My Balik Pulau, working with ArtSets in Penang, is a photography-based heritage mapping project with children in Penang, in Balik Pulau, where using arts as a tools to do research about the community, to understand about who they are, where are they from, and what are the community. And photography is a tool that I choose the art form to actually help them to document and then share the knowledge. So they learn the process of taking photo, and then they interview the traders in the community, and then eventually they design poster that put in the traditional trader shop so that people will understand and learn more about that. Luna's the rubber story. This one is in Luna's Kedah. It's a cultural mapping project that working with 80 students for them to be able to understand a bit more about the rubber. And Lawrence Rowe, who is the architect who is in charge for this, and was restoring this smokehouse into a museum. So eventually it became a museum that presenting the stories of rubber in Lunas. And this one was a project with Badang Roysan, and actually Elizabeth Cardosa is the one who invited me to on this project. And then Chowket Kita, this is back in KL, and Chowket Kita is a mapping project that helps children to understand their neighborhood rich cultural diversity. And this project is initiated by Fahmi Reza. Fahmi Reza, I think you all know Fahmi Reza, who has been going in and out of police station these days, and also produced by Pix One. And both of them, I was the advisory for them. And these are some of the projects that we did. And also, not forgetting this, the Luna's Rubber Story. It was actually eventually in year 2010, it was a finalist in the Aga Khan Award. It's an international kind of. Okay, Chaurasta Market. This one is also in Penang. I was invited to, this is the early stage of restoration of Chaurasta Market. I was invited to create this engagement between the traders in the market and the researcher who is coming later to do research and see what they can do, how do they restore and all that. So the engagement is help them to actually trust in between both parties. So what I use is, we use photography as a tool to actually first giving recognition to the traders who actually were in the market themselves. We're giving them the recognition, the pride, and later to help them to actually to bridge them to the researcher and the people who is coming in later to do this, because there's the changes is going to be quite drastic, because there will be dislocation and all that. So that helped to link both of the parties together. And this simple yet profound gesture acknowledge their presence and contribution with all this photography, and foster a pride or sense of pride for the traders. This is 2011 in Penang. And I was also in 2013, 2015, I was also the artistic director and co-curator for Georgetown Heritage Celebration. And it is working on to preserve and celebrate the local craft and traditional food. I was there from 2013, 2015. And in 2014, the focus was on traditional craft, and it's amazing that we managed to identify 13 local traditional craft that's still being practiced in Penang. So what we did was we identified the master, we sent apprentices to learn from the master, and then on the celebration day itself, we then have a kind of like public workshop that they can learn about traditional craft. So Heritage Celebration is actually is a celebration that initiated by state government to commemorate being listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it's always in July every year that they have this. So in 2014, our focus was on traditional craft, and 2015, the theme was food that we serve during festival by the different community in Penang. So we share the important knowledge of why we serve those food and what the cultural significance to each community. And one of these, my most kind of like rewarding for me is during that day itself. This is Aceh Mosque. They are sharing one of their food, I think it's bamia, and that year it happened during Puasa month. So food and Puasa month is kind of sensitive for us. And I remember one of the school actually during Puasa month asking the non-Muslim student to actually eat in the toilet as a respect for the Muslim. But here, while preparing for this food, before even Buka Puasa, and she is asking the audience, the public who are there, oh, minta maaf, saya puasa, so I cannot eat, I cannot taste. Can you please taste the food, whether cukup masin tak, whether it's salty enough? So for me, this break that kind of like, our norm of, what normally we were told to do, that we need to do this and that. But this one actually is kind of like shift in the understanding of each other culture. And above there, they are the ICH holder for the craft, and then the one below, some of them are actually professional cook, and some of them are actually cook from their home and community who actually cook for the community. So we managed to learn from them and then conduct the workshop and share their knowledge. Okay, beside being the curatorial team, being an artist director, I also have to, think about the design and decoration for the festival. So on the right here, you see, I was caught stitching, kind of like stitching the decoration for the festival. So being an artist director is actually not that glamour of a job after all. You have to actually go on ground and do the work as well. Okay, beside that, I was also involved in this Asia TYA network program, which is actually, TYA stands for Theatre for Young Audience. So it's initiated by a festival in Okinawa, Reka Reka Festival, where they invite practitioners from children theatre practitioners from Southeast Asia to actually network. So I was part of this team as well. So this is part of the activity that we do, and then over the few years we invite practitioners from different countries, and that lead to back home in 2022. Gate Cheng and me, actually, we started Little Dog Festival, and actually we have two of the Little Dog Festival members here as well, Cheng Gate and Yuki, and this is in 2022. Yeah, Mochi, my cat, is our boss there. So, so this is some of the program that we did, and our logo, Little Door, that logo actually is typeface written by children, and even our poster, we let the children draw our poster. We want to really bring out the voice of the children, giving a chance for the children to voice out, and that's what Little Door is all about. And you see this shadow play here, the character all drawn by children as well, and then our decoration is all drawn by children. And then this one, the little cat here, is drawn by this girl here. So we collect them and then we use them as much as possible, so that they come to our festival, they actually felt very comfortable because it belonged to them. They are part of it. So this is part of the program that we did. Okay, so that is my kind of like one part of my journey where I was involved, starting as a graphic designer, and then involved in theater, and then involved with children theater, and that, all that is a crossing, kind of like crossing boundaries, crossing practice, and so the next one I'm going to talk about is crossing the line, how mainly focus on my practice as a visual artist, and mainly focus on photography work that I do, and how I cross the line and why I cross the line. Okay, when I first started as studying in art school, and I was introduced to photography, which is in the early 80s. So all this kind of like beautiful landscape, kind of like type of photography is what I learned, because our lecturer in the school is actually, he's a saloon photography. So where technique and precision and aesthetic were, the priorities of what. So what kind of lens that you use, what kind of filter that you use, and what kind of landscape and all that you shoot. And that is what I learned. But, so let me show you some of the photos that I did before. So, but over the time when I do this kind of photography, I become kind of like a bit lost, this illusion, because if 10 of us went out for the outing to shoot, to take this kind of photograph, uh, most of us will return with the same, almost the same thing. So, so I began to ask myself, is this all photography can do? And is that more to what photography can do? And so eventually I lost interest in, and I totally dropped photography and doing photography. And in the early 90s, you know, after having worked as a designer, involved with theater, involved with also visual art, so I felt that I'm not actually learning anymore. I decided to drop everything and then to take a break to focus on something that I always passionate about, which is visual art. So it wasn't an easy decision because, you know, I was involved. So but I felt that I need to stop and to learn. So I moved to Penang to study under Ray, which is here, and then also Fern Helfen, a Canadian lecturer who was teaching in USM photography, and I also attended Ismail Hashim's photography class and also Zaba's photography class. So in Fern's class, she introduced us to a lot of experimental photography, where artists were the artist that is pushing boundaries using photography as a medium. And then for me, that changed everything, because eventually I realized that I wasn't somebody who meant to follow rules. Actually, I can totally connected to those work, and I was meant to break the rules. So from then on, my photography, I start to scratch my print. I start to scratch my negative, claw on the work, and physically scar and deface image to unearth the hidden layer of the truth. And this is not only a physical scratching, but it's actually scratching of the past of what I know, scratching into the future, and scratching to push the boundaries, scratching to kind of like to push to break the rules. So living in Georgetown during that time, I was witnessing, you know, the demolishing. This is the early 90s. I was witnessing the demolishing of historical architecture and this displacement of community in the name of progress. So the younger, maybe Kung Yu might just go around and capture those changes in very beautiful salon style. But now during that time, after exposing to the other possibility of photography, I want to do more than just document destruction. I want to voice out. I want to use my photography to scream and shout. So these are some of the work that was done during that period of time. This series is called Framing Komta, capturing Komta through the ruin of the old traditional architecture in Penang. So this showing the price that we have to pay for development. So I use photography not just to capture the reality, but to challenge it. I was no longer taking picture, I was telling stories of loss, transformation, and resistance. So this is one of the installation work as well. On the left, you can see Komta in the middle, and then the documentation, what I found, you know, the tiles, broken tiles, and all that on the side. And it actually kind of like a long installation piece of work. And this is again Komta, and then the rune around it. And the Chinese character say Fat Yang Guang Da. So Fat Yang Guang Da kind of like glorifying a culture. But the interesting thing is the name of Kom Ta is also Guang Ta. So it actually glorifying Kom Ta. So I use that as part of this, the title for the work. This one is Bersatu Menuju Wawasan, is again Kom Ta, which is there. And this happened during one of the, after a National Day celebration, which is, the theme is Bersatu Menuju Wawasan, and I go around taking photographs. It just happened that the float was actually, the parade float truck was, the structure was actually abandoned around the area, and then the logo is all like kind of like thrown everywhere. So I kind of like put that together with Komta. So again, Mai Xiang Hong Yan, the Chinese character means Bersatu Menuju Wawasan, the slogan for that year of the National Day celebration. Before I left Penang, I had a solo exhibition in 6 kopitiam coffee shop in Penang, and also my studio in Penang. This is in the 95, I think. So why kopitiam? You know, and not in the gallery. This is simply because most of the subject matter that I address is directly related to the local community, who might not even step ever in the gallery before. So what I want to do is I want to bring it to them rather than expecting them to go to the gallery, which is not part of their practice. So what I want to do is bring my work to the target audience that I want to speak to. And then also people ask me, but why Kopitiam Kung Yu? Do you think the people will understand your work and the message that you carry? So my answer to them is, this work, which was arranged to exhibit in one of the coffee shop, and the owner of the coffee shop reject this work, and because he actually can explain my work from A to Z, and his concern is that if he exhibit this work in his coffee shop, all this work, the 5-6 coffee shop that I showed them the work before, and I showed it, and then they said okay. So it's only during when we go and hang the work up, and actually Chang Wang is the one who helped me to install the work as well. So he reject my work because he is worried that he will not be able to get the business license from the health department. And why? Because this work is talking about the state government during that time. The state government for the local, which is actually the Gerakan Party during that time, will call the Tia Chu Tong, so which is the demolishing party. So they have been going around demolishing a lot of old architecture, and they call them the Tia Chu Tong. And if I were to put this work up in my coffee shop, I will get in trouble. So I said, okay, never mind. I will give you a letter, hold full responsibility. He said no. Then I said, okay, I will. What about put the work up and put the letter next to the work? He said no, I can't do that. So eventually I respect that, and I didn't put in his space. So and I exhibit that. So that answer to some of the students who came to my show and said, Kung Yu, what is your work about? Kung Yu, you think they will understand your work, but this old man who make coffee every day, who never go to art school, can interpret my work, and not only that, he reject my work. Okay, let's come back to this competition, and this is where I really push the boundaries. In '93, National Art Gallery organized a photography competition called Dokumentasi Malaysia. And it is the first time National Art Gallery organized a major photography exhibition, as photography was not considered even as art during that time in the early 90s. So I was happy, very happy to hear that, and that their focus is on photography. finally, photography has a chance. So I decided to submit to all the 3 categories. So they have 3 categories: color photography, black and white, and pictorial essay. So I submit all the 3 categories, and I really want to see, to put my work in there, to show the alternative, the other possibility of what photography is all about. So this is the 3 work that I submit. The one Bersatu Menunjuk Wawasan on top there, and then this is Perjalanan. So this the color category, Bersatu Menunjuk Wawasan, which is talking about Komtar and the price that we have to pay for development. Perjalanan ke Georgetown is again about the effect of Komtar. And then this one is black and white category. This is, I can't remember the title. The idea is, this is black and white photography. And the idea is, the image in the jug is actually photograph that I taken from the old clan house in Penang, the early migrant, the Chinese migrant. And I put them in the Chinese tea in a jug, and eventually water and paper, it will just disappear. So it actually a reflection of, the work is about disappearing of Chinese tradition and culture in the Chinese community. But for the competition, it's a challenge to the judges. How do you judge a black and white photography? Eventually it will disappear and soak in the jug. So these are the 3 work that I submit for the 3 categories to try to push the boundaries. So what do you think? So, true enough, they reject all my work. And the the reason is, I have this document. First is the measurement of my work are not according to the rule, which is the minimum of 8R. I think 8R is this size. I think if you're people who print photograph back then, minimum is this. So you cannot be smaller than that. But my work is actually way bigger than that. But they are not looking at this size. They are looking at, because these are collage work that I print from 3R, 4R photo. Because during that time, I cannot afford to print large print. So the solution for it is to print small print and collage. Even when you photograph section, and you print it, and then you can do bigger work. So, but they're not looking at this. This piece is actually quite large, way beyond 8R. But they're not looking at that. They're looking at the small size of the print. So that is number one. Number 2 is because it's experimental work. So on 2 count, they reject my work. But for me, I'm actually quite not happy, but to me, I think what I set out to do kind of like work. So in the catalog for the exhibition eventually, which I wasn't even in the show, the chief judge Ismail Hashim, he wrote this. Let me read this. Experimental work in the form of collage, conceptual work, and so on, attract the attention of the panel of the judges, who consider them to be very creative. And for example, the work of Kung Yu, a famous Malaysian painter, I'm not even a painter, who participates in all 3 categories, seems to challenge the limitation of photography, yes, or to tease the theme of documentation of Malaysia, yes again. So his work, particularly deep in the field of idea and concept, the panel of judges regretted that they could not consider such work, not only because they are arbitrary size, but also because the experimental category was not covered in the competition. So I find that this is really unfortunate because, this is the first time National Art Gallery hosts giving chance to photography, put it on the pedestal. And then yet, the group of judges, they didn't even take the chance to actually bring photography into another level. And to me, we can always coexist, we can exhibit together, but we are not in the picture at all. So for me, even though I did not have the chance to exhibit, my intention to pushing the boundaries was answered by Ismail Hashim essay. So I'm quite proud about that. And then the other thing that in the writing as well, so Ismail Hashim said that in the catalogue as well, we should actually consider about including experimental work in the future exhibition organized by National Art Gallery, which, true enough, in the year 1996, National Art Gallery organized another photography exhibition, mainly only on photography, which titled Photography Sebagai Seni, photography as art. So now photography become art. And but it's interesting enough, the image that they put in this catalog is actually painting and drawing and all that. So photography and art. So so I must have my work in there. So, but with a twist. So I create two work for the exhibition and present them side by side. So, so both the image are image of beach. One is the one on the left. The one on the right is actually the photo that have been taken when I was in the art school. This type of like salon type photography. The one on the left is a mural that I photographed in a toilet in SS2, public toilet SS2. So it's a mural, it's not photograph. So I put them both together, and on the left I put the words there, photography, and on the right I put the word Seni. So I just try to like confuse them even more. So in 1997, this is another chance for me. Interesting enough, there's an exhibition called Isu, and two out of the photographers in the show, who is part of the organizer for this exhibition of 5 photographers, they were the judges for the competition that I took part earlier, and they are part of the judging team who reject my work. So they invite me to exhibit together with them. So I thought, well, this is my chance. So this is my chance to take revenge, to show them what photography can do, and what photography, what I want to give them, kind of like give them back for what my type of photography. So the work that you see upstairs, Pasti Boleh Show Can One, is the work that I presented. So instead of work that is photographed and print and frame up and exhibit on the wall, I use photography to create sculptures. So pushing the boundaries of photography from, there's a belief that photography should be printed perfectly, framed perfectly, and then last for 100 years. But this one is not anymore things that is hang on the wall. So these are actually from 1997. So this is a time during the 90s when Malaysia, the Malaysia ego of having the biggest, the tallest, the highest, and where we were called one of the Asian tiger, and at the end of this trophies, and stand this Vira 2020, when we believe that this Vira will take us to achieve the vision of 2020. and audience are encouraged to photograph. So this work, so during the exhibition it was in Creative Center, the National Art Gallery was actually now the Majestic Hotel. So it was there, and then next to the main gallery, there's this Creative Center. So this was exhibited in Creative Center. And interesting enough, during the exhibition, my work was presented in the upper floor in the room, and then the rest of the work is downstairs. Most of the work are hanging on the wall, work that frame and hang on the wall. So the public will come and look at the work, and then they will go upstairs and they walk around, and then they will peep into my room, and then they look at it, and then they walk away, because they don't think this actually is part of the photography exhibition. They actually walk away. So interesting enough, this work which some of the visitors walk past and don't even realize that it's part of the exhibition, was exhibited in a touring exhibition, and this actually work is actually one of my more traveled show. So it was touring with the exhibition called Cities on the Move, curated by Han Yurik and Ho Han Ru, where it was exhibited in Vienna, France, Finland, UK, and Denmark. And so this is the work Possibly Show Can One, and now it's back in ILHAM Gallery. And this is actually the second time exhibit in ILHAM Gallery. So this is the invitation that I sent out. So let's celebrate his triumphant return to Tanah Air at ILHAM Gallery, which is referring to Vira 2020. Give him a big hand and stand proud with Vira 2020 for the nation. Okay, the next one is Wadah Untuk Pemimpin. Okay, how much time do I have now? 30 minutes, okay. Okay, I have 100 over slide. I'm now at, I think half of it, I hope. Okay, very quickly, the series of Wadah Untuk Pemimpin was inspired by my visit to Gallery Perdana in Pulau Langkawi during an art and science camp organized by National Art Gallery, and which is called Antara Langit and Bumi. So it is an art expedition that pairs scientists and artists together to explore Langkawi, the nature of Langkawi, and all that. So I was there as one of the artists with a group of scientists. And one of the locations that we were arranged to visit is Gallery Perdana. And Gallery Perdana house an impressive collection of actually they have 9,000 gifts that is awarded to the then Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir and his wife. And it's a double-story building, which is taking a area of 5.3 square kilometer, which is huge. And then which actually the gallery cost like 16 million to build. Actually, it's very beautiful. So as our bus stopped at the entrance of the gallery, so the artists and the scientists, we were fetching around, and then we were landed at Gallery Perdana. And all the participants for the art and science camp, which include artists and scientists, refused to get down from the bus to actually go into this Gallery Perdana. This is because during that time, the ex-deputy prime minister, which is Anwar Ibrahim, was arrested and beaten up in the custody in 1998. So, in the power struggle with his mentor. And this gallery is loaded with gift and award presented to Dr. Mahathir. So everybody on that, they refused to go in as a protest, I suppose. However, Kung Yu being Kung Yu, I told myself, I must see it. I must go in and see. So I told them, you all can carry on. don't have to wait for me. I will take a taxi back to the hotel. So this result of my encounter with the thousand of gifts that inspired me to actually start creating my own gift for him in the Kung Yu way. So let me show you what's the things in the gallery that kind of inspired me. You know, and even a huge ship here. And I love this car. So, of course, a lot is Mahathir's portrait. And especially this next one. Is actually given to him from, I think, one of the Chinese press, where it's actually stitching of the portrait using horse and goat hair, I think. Yeah, which also inspired me. So here come what I want to paint. So I started creating this work for the exhibition after the expedition that after the trip that we went, and which is called Alami, and this is the result of our trip to that. So this is my first wadah untuk pemimpin, which if you can see, Mahathir is on top of this spinning disco ball, and there's a fountain with dry ice floating down. And this is my first wadah untuk pemimpin for the exhibition at National Gallery. And at the opening, before the opening, someone actually wanted to actually take out this work, but somehow in the gallery team, the curators, they said, "Oh, you know, you can interpret the work in many different ways." So the work was left there, but of course, the VIP walk was kind of like walk other way. But I'm glad, you know, this is in National Art Gallery. So later, I create more wadah untuk pemimpin. This work was eventually auctioned for during a charity auction for supporting opposition candidates, Siva Rasa, during that time, and it was sold as the campaign fund. So this is like Putrajaya, and this is like bunga raya everywhere. And of course, Wawasan 2020 with aquarium, where there are some heart-shaped kind of thing floating around to express our love for him. Oh. Malaysia Boleh clock. This is a must. And also I have kind of like the cards there for people to express their expression in the heart shape. And this one is the Helang, the eagle that I shot from Langkawi. And 2020, and stitching in a global kind of like, and then kind of like a crystal that I bought with KL Landscape. And when I during my trip to China, I get one of the street painter to draw one of these. And then, okay, on the right is the inspiration from the hair, from horse and all. So I use my own hair to stitch this portrait of Mahathir in the year 2003 during the Perhimpunan Agung UMNO. He wanted to resign, so it's really and he started crying. So it's really something that need to be documented. And on the left is cross stitch of all our achievement. This one, my proudest achievement with this work came much later when I was invited to participate in the LIFA 2021, which is Langkawi International Art Festival. So I told the organizer, I will only take part if I can present my work in Gallery Perdana. And they agreed. And I just can't believe it. So I presented my 7th Wadah untuk Pemimpin in Gallery Perdana. So it became a full circle where I was, when I was first inspired, and then now it's back there. And again, of course, there are all this where people can express their love. Okay, so this is Wadah untuk Pemimpin. Okay, let me quickly go. Cemerlang Gemilang Terbilang, and this is also one of the work that we were working with Rahel at Petronas Gallery, and I think the show is called Independent Show. This work, titled Cemerlang Gemilang Terbilang, is actually the theme for the National Day during that time, and I was inspired by the traditional of wayang kulit to tell the story of modern Malaysia. So the work is shaped as a pohon beringin, traditional wayang kulit puppet that symbolizes the tree of life. And this puppet, this pohon beringin puppet, normally appear in the start and the end of the wayang kulit performance, act as a gateway for the audience into the world, the line between the myth and the reality. And through this work, I want to introduce my audience to the world of Boleh Land, which you see a lot of our achievement is there. The astronaut, and then Twin Tower, Putrajaya, and our proud Proton, and but every light casts a shadow, and this work also casts one of the shadow at the back. The front is this, and then we have the light that casts from the front, and then behind there's this figure that came out, which is actually part of the character in the shadow play, which is Ravana. Ravana is the demon king. So it's a subtle reference to the controversial real life event in Malaysia in our political scene. So this is the Ravana, which is holding the keris with $sign in it. And then actually in front of it, what is that image? In front of it, if you see carefully, oops, sorry. There's also a demon there. This is the 2 eyes, and this is the nose, and the Malaysia flag is the fang of the demon. Yeah, so that's kind of like hidden message. So this is that work. Okay. 12 o'clock. Okay. I have another. Got time. Okay, good. Okay. The next work also one of my major work. This is again responsibility of Rahel and J.Ano as well in Petronas Gallery. So I was invited in 2009. I was invited to have a solo exhibition in Petronas Gallery. So I request for funding to travel around Malaysia to take photograph of public sculpture in one condition: the public sculpture that irritates me. I was trained as a graphic designer, and I have some kind of like aesthetic kind of like preference. So it covers public sculptures or anything that come around. So I went around, and what I discovered during the trip really kind of like blew my mind and opened my eyes. So Penang, Kuching, Penang, this like Penang belah dua? Yes. Is it Penang or, and then Kuching, of course Kuching must have cat, and we must have huge giant tapas sirih sculpture, and then hornbills. This is in Malacca, and kind of like Bunga Raya and a globe above it, and this is in Kuching. This is East Malaysia, and again, all this orangutan. Oh, sorry. This strange thing is in actually in the National Zoo. So why do we need concrete sculpture in zoo when we are there to look at real animals and look at, can you even identify what are these animals? And this is what we are. Next to this lion kind of like family, you have this sculpture. So do you want us to look at the art, the sculpture, or do you want us to look at the actual animal? And we are in the zoo. The saddest thing for me is this orangutan baby. Not only is it in a cage, but the trees behind it is actually concrete. So this orangutan will grow up to, like concrete trees. So this one is one of the things that it really like touched me. That why? Okay, we have a lot of this kind of like, this is actually during the year Malaysia Kugemilang or something. So we have all these sculptures, representing, our nation and all that. So of course this is Bunga Raya, actually in Kuala Lumpur. And this Bunga Raya, interesting enough, Bunga Raya, the stigma of Bunga Raya actually is like that, like 5 go around that. But this one is like that, one coming out in the middle. And how can it be so wrong? This is a government kind of like initiate project. Why it goes so wrong? So this kind of reflect on, the project always subcon to the people who actually don't even know what is the project about and how we actually do we even do research and design team and all that when we create some kind of like public sculptures that represent our nation. Do we even have that kind of system and knowledge? The other thing that amazed me is that column. Everywhere I go, we just love this Roman column. And this is low-cost housing area. And you can see, the size of the gate is only big enough for one car. So it's actually small, but they create this huge structure right in front. Maybe it helped to raise the value of the property. So this is maybe the low cost trying to become, so normally we will say that, yeah, low cost, low income group, they don't have taste. But look at this gated community. And this is gated community in Tropicana. I just need to go to one place and I get all this. Not only housing, commercial building as well. We just love. The saddest thing for me here is the kampong house. Kampong house has a beautiful aesthetic tradition, but yet they bring in the column here. This one as well. So this is kind of like really sad for me when I go around. So after collecting all these images, and what do I do? So I create 4 large-scale photographic collage work. Title them Cadangan Untuk Negaraku. This title is actually a borrow from, when we see a construction site here in Malaysia, there's always a board that say cadangan untuk membina rumah 5 tingkat and all that. So borrowing that, I create 4 huge large-scale work that suggest to our nation, this is what we might be in the future. So this one is called Concrete Jungle. This one is, I think, Metropolis Bandar Metropolis. This is Pantai Gelora Cahaya, I think. And you see this, the Bunga Raya is here. And the Pinang Balatua is here. And then some strange sculptures. And this is the column where I put them in 5 trays. The Rumah Kampung, the gated bungalows, the low cost, the commercial, and all the column that I showed. So this was in ILHAM Gallery, and so these are large scale. So it was the year when I turned 50, so I thought I need to do something that people will remember. So we worked for actually quite a number of years. We will delay the exhibition to actually put this together. So I have a team of young artists who helped me to come up with this work. Okay, let me take a sip. The missing ring. So I'm not sure the younger group here are familiar with that missing ring. Okay, so someone, okay, right now. Okay, in April 2011, a blog called Milo Swan claimed that a 24 million ring was sent to Malaysia because there's this document here, import documentation, by a New York-based jeweler, Jacob & Co., for the inspection of a VVVIP. However, in July, 3 weeks after the allegation surfaced on the cyberspace, the VVVIP denied buying the 77 million ringgit ring and reported in Malay Mail in October 5th, 2011, in a written reply to YB Lim Lip Eng in a Dewan Rakyat, Minister in Prime Minister Department Datuk Seri Muhammad Nazri Abdul Aziz said no payment was made for the 77 million ringgit ring, which is linked to the VVVIP. So Nazri also said that after a few days, the ring was returned to the company. Another blogger, Apa Nama, claimed that the accusation about the VVVIP bought the ring is a spin, and in his article dated 18 July, titled True or Lie, the blogger claimed that the VVVIP did not purchase the ring, but it was imported for a private exhibition, so a jewelry exhibition, a fine jewelry exhibition between 16th to the 20th of April 2011, somewhere in Malaysia, but none of us see it. Maybe it's too expensive. We are not invited. So is that $24 million natural fancy blue gray cushion cut diamond ring still here in Malaysia? Maybe yes, maybe no. So as an artist, as Kung Yu, how do we respond to that? Yeah, and even in here, people are asking, yeah, hanya sebentuk cincin dari mana sumber pendapat beliau? So 73 million ringgit only for a ring, where is the source of income? And we also have to remember, as an artist, the VVVIP during that time was very, very powerful. So how do we, as an artist, respond to that? So at the Art and Craft Fair, Kung Yu set up a workshop to make what I call the missing ring, with a caption, owing something that never exists has never been so affordable. Not 24 million, only 24 ringgit, you can make your own missing ring. So I did this kind of a DIY thing where you can buy the DIY, or you can sit with me and then we make the ring together. So this is the workshop. And then you can, after you make that 24 million US dollar ring, you can actually wear and show it. While the VVVVIP, if she have it, she can't even show it. So we even have for people to actually pose, and so later I have to do the jewelry exhibition. So I curate more from the image of the ring. So the image actually is an image from the internet. So I photograph it. So I create earring and kind of like a whole jewelry stand that I called it stone. So these are some of the panels that you see. Some of the text there is beauty to lie for, beauty to die for, beauty to kill for. And there's another one with beauty to cry for. And this work was exhibit also responsibility of Rahel as well at ILHAM Gallery as part of the, I can't remember the title of the show. Yeah, yeah. And also it actually toured to China as well in 2019. Okay, somehow this work find its way to this Zano cartoon. So I saw this, that is Zuna. He's wearing this ring, and then at the Bersih rally. Okay. Barisan menuju arisan. This will be the last section of my sharing. Okay, let me check. Okay, as the year 2020 come to end, I wanted to create an artwork that look into where the nation was in terms of Vision 2020. Because most of my work, a lot of them kind of like address, you know, the Wawasan 2020. So it's you know, for today also is a fitting finish for me to present this work at this. So so the work is as outlined in the Nation Development Plan. The goal of Vision 2020 was to achieve a fully developed, full sufficient and industrialized nation by the target year 2020. And however, as this was the midst of COVID-19 and not to mention the turmoil of Sheraton move and other social political disruption, the Malaysian economic was in shambles and with the rakyat facing much uncertainty. So along the line of Jalur Gemilang, the Malaysia flag, with the achievement of, we actually have this flying car, and then our astronaut flying somewhere, and then I think astronaut somewhere. So along the line of Jalur Gemilang, flying proud for the nation, we also see the stark reality of rakyat lining up to actually pawn their goods to the pajak kedai. This is kind of after the lockdown opened up. So this was Wawasan 2020. So that come to the end of my sharing. And I think if I didn't take the move to cross the line, to take the kind of like decision to stop, and then I would not even be here today, doing this sharing. So I kind of found my voice uh, after that decision that I made, and to actually how I can actually not just use art, to exhibit and being an artist and all that, but actually use art to voice out, to voice out, my frustration, to voice out what we are facing, to voice out what we are encountering. And art is actually an amazing tool. Sometimes we can use art to actually bring out an issue in a way that we maybe not being censored or not being blocked or not being arrested. So I think art is kind of an amazing tools for us to be able to use as a tool to voice out. And when I say art, it doesn't mean only visual art. It covers performing arts and all kind of art. So I'm glad that I found my strength, which is like in art, and I'm glad also I found my voice to put these two together, and then to kind of like be a responsible citizen, rakyat, to voice out on behalf of myself and on behalf of maybe the other people as well. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. Okay, what's next for Kung Yu? A lot of my friends is asking me this already, and it's been delayed, but I'm still working on it. Because I started in Penang in the 90s to actually go back to learn more about art. And I did a whole series of work that you see in Penang. So what I'm interested now is to create a work, to do a solo show in Penang, which I call Penang Revisited. This is just a working title. So to put together the work that I did before, during that time, and to create work that I'm doing now, and put them together to make as a comparison. So as, for example, this Wawasan 2020 work. So this was done during that in the 90s. And then this new work, which is done, I think a couple of years back, which I already start working on this, is putting all the National Day logo together in the sky and let's fly kite with Komta. So comparing what was it before and what eventually Wawasan 2020 become. So 3 challenges for me. One is to look at Penang then and now. Penang during that time, rent control has been lifted. It's before UNESCO World Heritage listing. So the demolishing and all that. So, and then now, after the UNESCO listing, the drastic change of, the community who actually used to live in there, they really can't afford to live in there anymore because cafe come in, big hotel come in and all that. So that drastic. And so looking at that, what happened in Penang now? And also looking at also the culture aspect of it. This work is actually about Hungry Ghost Festival, which is one of the festivals that the Chinese community who, the Taoist Chinese community who kind of practice. And this work is during the 90s where I created, showcasing the tradition of the traditional practice and the contemporary practice that during that time, a lot of younger organizers that kind of initiate the festival lost the ability to understand the tradition and culture, so they bring in what they know. So all this kind of like pop singer, Ke Tai, they call it Ke Tai, and in their miniskirt and all that performance. So I try to put these two together to kind of reflect what happened to the culture then. So now it changes again. Back then, when the last day of this ceremony, this is the huge paper effigy, is the burning ceremony of the effigy. the god of the ghost. So normally they will put the effigy in kind of like cross junction on the street, and then they will put prayer and they will start burning it. So once they start burning it, they will turn away and walk away. So it's very pantang to actually look at it and all that. So they walk away. But now, when they burn this is what happened. Tons of people taking photographs. So this is what the changes now. So I'm looking at all these changes. So there are 3 challenges for me. One is Penang before and Penang now. Second is Kung Yu's thinking then and Kung Yu thinking now, looking at Penang. The third is technically, what is the development of Kung Yu? So Kung Yu have tried photography, conventional, sketching, sculpture, and I even make costume from photography. So now, what is Kung Yu's photography? How am Kung Yu going to push her? So this is a challenge that I put to myself, which that's the problem when I'm still not getting the work done yet. So this is what's next for me, looking at back and so I don't have a date yet. The date was supposed to be this year. Then now I dare not to put any more date. So I will just take my time to actually do more research and then develop technically more how am I going to again push the boundaries. Finally, thank you.
Thank you, Kung Yu. We will now open up the floor for a short Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, please raise your hand and a mic will be handed to you. Any questions?
Much.
Thank you. Kung Yu, I noticed that through the years, I look at the frame of your work, yeah? And it's always, even those exhibited in the Kopitiam, it's always gilt and very often ornate, almost like when we go to a gallery and we see the Renaissance paintings, they have this very Baroque, ornate kind of gold frames. I'm just curious about your frames, that's all.
My aesthetic choice. My aesthetic choice.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. When I exhibit abroad, actually, you know, with all the work that I do, some other artists from different countries say, Kung Yu, your work very kitsch. Your aesthetic very kitsch. Kung Yu, you're like that. You live like that, kitsch and all that. I said, Kung Yu is trained as a designer. Kung Yu has got some style. So when I first created the series of work for the Kopitiam in Penang, so one of the things that I always think about when I create work is who are my target audience? Their ability to connect to my work, to understand my work. So if I were talking about, you know, the modernization of Penang and all that, and if I were to do oil painting or I were to do photograph, frame perfectly and all that, and if I exhibit this in museum, it's fine, because we all have the ability, the language of a gallery. But my intention is not that. My intention is to have this dialogue with the local community, the people who go to coffee shop and all that. But if I were to put oil paint in there, if I were to put, they will look at it and like, oh, this is art. I don't understand art at all. So my responsibility as an artist is that how do I create a work that they can connect to? And how do I understand my audience ability to read and understand work? So I try to do research and understand what is their ability to understand from what they see around, their aesthetic sense. So the framing, the one that rejected by the coffee shop, the style of framing and that kind of like, is actually a very Chinese Kopitiam practice, where when a shop open ceremony, they will give this gift, her bien to the shop, like 生意兴隆, like good business or whatever. So I use that to then apply it to my work, so that when people, the layman or the public that go into the coffee shop, they will actually make connection to the work because it's part of what they know. So that kind of like explain. And I also, when I also, now that I'm doing some teaching and mentoring, one of the things that I actually remind my student is that who are your target audience and where do you exhibit? If you exhibit in a gallery, commercial gallery, institution, or national museum, the ability and the audience are different. So you need to know who are your target audience and then create a work that you can actually reach out to them. So this is one of the things I'm kind of practice throughout. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Ray. Ray is my cikgu.
No, you're my Shigu. Yeah, two questions. One is that wonderful story and how you about the owner of the Kopitiam who refused the work because he was worried about its political ramifications, right? For him, and how you flipped that to be an indicator of that it worked. The work worked. The work communicated. It was through the rejection that you saw that the signifiers that you were using communicated to the people that you were targeting, actually in Penang. So that's a really wonderful example of flipping the political significance through rejection. The other question is about Photoshop, because you haven't talked about one of your main tools or the other tools that you've used, and how you feel about Adobe.
Feel about the
Adobe Adobe Photoshop, a massive corporation, international corporation. So yeah, could you talk a bit about that shift from analog, where you were using a shop in Penang, to make the prints for you, which you then put into the collages. So a shift from the analog shop in Penang, the local shop, to the international corporation of Adobe and the use of Photoshop.
Well, I don't know if I can answer about Adobe. It's just the tools that I use. I think the first one, the rejection actually is actually a reward for me as well. That actually they are my target audience, and to actually hearing that and getting that back from them, I think, similar to I took part in the competition, even though they reject my work, but I think my job is done. Yeah. So yeah. And then the second one is my practice. From beginning, when I was a graphic designer, yeah, we have to spend quite a lot in printing and all that, and then we cannot go larger than what we can afford. And then when I was in Penang, and even throughout that, I was exposed to, as I study and learn about photography, I was exposed to, different photographers and all that. And then David Hockney is one of them. David Hockney recreate time and space, not shooting at one, but shooting many, many shots and then kind of collage them together to recreate this landscape that you can't get in one shot. And the other artists that kind of like influenced me in collage work is Frank Stella, and I saw his work actually in New York, and you know, the collage work. In fact, one of the work that I took part in the Young Contemporaries. By the way, I won 3 minor awards in Young Contemporaries. Is actually very much inspired by Frank Stella, and also, of course, Fern. When I was studying with Fern, and Fern's work is also very much collaging as well. So, collaging, the technique of collaging gives me a solution to actually create larger work, and you don't have to spend too much if you can afford. You cannot afford, yeah. So I can do larger work using, you know, 3R print and 4R print. So those are the method I resolve the issue about if, you know, a young artist or young student, you graduate from a school and you want to start creating work, but you don't have money. What do you do then? So collaging is one of my solution, and collaging is also one of the conceptually is interesting, looking at David Hockney and all that, define time and space. So I was very truthful to collage work from the beginning, and many tell me, Kung Yu, Photoshop, Photoshop, Photoshop is perfect for you. Hasno is one of them who told me, Kung Yu, Photoshop is perfect for you. I refuse, until somehow, when I did a project, the Luna's project, I have no choice with, Eileen is here, Eileen. Yeah, Eileen, we were together. I have no choice but to learn Photoshop because I need to create some kind of poster and all that. So I learned from Chai Shen, my friend. So that's when I learned Photoshop, not because of artwork. I learned Photoshop because of a job. So later, I start to create Photoshop. So one of these development for Kung Yu as a practitioner is from collage, cut and paste and all that into the cadangan work. When I do the work in Penang, I cannot determine the final size of the work. It all depends on either I print 3R, 4R, or 8R. So I collage, eventually it becomes the size. But when I move to Photoshop, I can determine exactly what the size and what I put in, how I distort, and all that come into the equation of the move, my kind of practice from that to Photoshop. Yeah. So when I go back to the analog, maybe, I don't know.
But it is interesting. It's a sign of the times that the other line that you crossed, I don't know if this is working, the other line that you crossed was from analog to digital. And so there's your work is really a nice example of this shift that the whole world was going through at that moment, of how communication happens, how visuality is constructed. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ray. With Ray, actually, he gave me some kind of interesting assignment as well. That will be another talk. Challenge, some kind of interesting challenge.
Hi, Kung Yu.
Hi.
Sini first. Yeah.
Oh.
Kung Yu,
Salvin.
nice work. I'm just curious because today you sort of like crafted your presentation that Kung Yu as a, in a way, social critic and crossing a line. I'm curious about some of more autobiographical work, I suppose, the very personal work. I read it as that, like a prayer for Agung Ama and the work about families and things like that. How do you see those as crossing a line, or you don't want to talk about that as crossing a line in that sense? Yeah, because it deals with a lot of, I think, family, culture, and personal in that sense. So I'm just curious, how do you see it, and why do you choose not to present it in that way today? Thank you.
Okay, today's talk is very much focusing on my photography practice. So I have a lot of slides and I have a lot of work to talk about, but because of the time as well, and I don't want to, I want to try to, today is really talking about crossing the line, what I used to push. And this example, of the rejection and all that is actually quite a good example for me. But Marian, the first thing Marian see me today is like, Kung Yu, you're going to talk about passage through literacy where we collaborate. And that was one of the earlier video art piece. And yeah, we were joking about it just now that, Marian, what was that one that you said? We were, and we are brave and foolish. We are brave and we are foolish. We are stupid. Because we are stupid, we dare to do. Because we are brave, we dare to do. So there are many, many works actually, the other kind of work that actually did during that time. And also, I think we also talk about there's a time of experimental. We were a bunch of practitioners, creative practitioners, who actually have no idea. When I first did my installation work in MIA, where Hai Chong curate with Raja Shariman, I have no idea what is installation work. And we don't even call it installation work. And then I invite Marian to collaborate, and I don't even know what is performance art. So we just do. So it's brave and also foolish. But I think, looking back, I think what I'm proud about is we allow ourselves to be brave and also to make mistakes, to do and to fail and to learn and to try. So it might not work out, and I'm sure there are a lot of things that we do didn't work out. But there are some of the work that we do still resonate until today. I mean, look at this show, the 90s, and the crossing over of theater people, film people, visual artists and all that. There's so much crossing over. Yeah. So they actually like Sing a Song for Agong and Mama is also a work about, there was a period of time I do a lot of work about me as who I am as a Chinese in Malaysia. So those are the work address who I am as a Chinese, questioning culture, tradition, or even religious practice. So some of work actually touch on some kind of sensitive issue. So I do get a lot that, especially the piece that I did in MIA, which the Chinese altar prayer board, and we were smashing and stepping, and there's a lot of complaint about that. So those are the kind of like boundaries that I cross, and those are the work that actually the other part of the practice that I do. So if you are interested, I will come back again to talk about those work. Thank you.
Just two things. I think even those works, Kung Yu was always crossing the line. So the passage through life, the altarpiece, there was the other, where the incense burns and then audience come and you would put the ashes into an envelope and give people, the funeral one. It was always crossing the line. Every piece that I can remember at least was crossing the line. And I just want to say that, looking at your body of work, half of it or a quarter of it, I just feel it's been such an honor and a privilege to be a tiny, tiny part of your journey. Yeah, so thank you.
No, you all have been very big part of my journey. I think Five Art Center is, kind of incubation for me, where I find it's a safe space for me to allow me to develop, either in my design and, theater and all that. And also that day I was talking to Charlene and Janet as well. Here I am in the 90s, Chinese educated, cannot speak English very well, but they totally open-hearted and take me as who I am and try very hard to understand what am I trying to express. So, so those are the community, the families that really helped me to develop. You're talking about giving the ashes to the audience. So this is another work that I did in Indonesia actually. In '94, I was invited to Solo, Surakarta to do an exhibition. The theme is actually multimedia. So they have different kind of like art form in the exhibition. So my intention is actually to go to Indonesia to do Chengbeng for the Chinese who have passed away in there. Chengbeng is the All Soul Day festival where we go to cemetery to worship to our ancestors, the people who have died. So I want to do a work in Indonesia to actually kind of like pay respect to the Chinese who have died there. That is the picture of it, but actually I want to find out more about what happened to the Chinese in Indonesia, because during that period of time or before that and all that, there's a lot of Chinese community being, yeah. So part of the reason is to do that. So the interesting thing is, it was happening in the Taman Budaya, and then I was early there to install my work of my installation. So we stay in this kind of like space, and then the exhibition space is here. So every day I have to walk through this kind of like path, grass and all that to go to that place. The second day or the third day when I was there, they say, Kung Yu, kamu tahu tak? Dulu sebelum ini, tempat ini semuanya perkuburan orang Cina. So my hair stand on air. So they said, Kung Yu, do you know that this cultural center where we are happening now was Chinese cemetery, and everything were dig up and removed. But there's one structure which is there, and then the coffin, everything is gone, but the structure is there. So I immediately get the incense and go and start to pray to that structure there. So this kind of connection really, like, it kind of gave me a reason. Yeah, I think maybe that's why I was invited there, and that's why I create this Chengbeng work. So yeah, pushing boundaries and crossing the line, because one of the feedback that I got from the Chinese, the Indonesian Chinese, that they rarely see a Chinese artist in Indonesia voicing out about who they are. Maybe they are not even allowed. So that work, again, it helped me to actually understand. So help me to understand. So that is part of the intention of the work, to go and kind of like open up and to learn more. Yeah. So that was the work. It's called Chengbeng. Yeah. I think there's one question.
Hi, so looking at your artwork, your collage work, it kind of, because I'm from a younger generation, so there was kind of this similarity that I see it. Hey, his artwork looks very AI in my mind.
Really, what?
Very AI.
AI,
artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So I was just like, then this kind of just shows that maybe AI is just like, so AI is just, we know it's collaging from various media that it takes from the internet, right? So it was just like, there's this ironic thing seeing your work and comparing it to the technology now. So I feel like, then if someone were to come from, Gen Alpha, a younger generation than me, if they were to go to your exhibitions and see your work, they would be like, hey, this one not AI, yeah? So I just want to know, like, how would you respond to that statement? That's kind of what I want to know as someone that's been in this industry for such a long time and doing something that is somewhat similar to AI. So I would want to know your response to that statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Tomorrow I'll start learning. As Kung Yu, who like to explore different things, because even among artists and all that, I talked to Chin Lee as well. Chin Lee also give me some example of AI work. It's like, no, all this is happening. What are we going to do? We are going to lose our bread and butter and all that. So actually, AI can do certain things. And maybe I don't know yet. AI maybe can do certain other things. So like, there is actually a photographic competition and even a painting competition. I think Chin Lee was telling me that is totally created by AI. And when the person won the award, he declared that, I didn't even take this photo. So those are what we are facing now. So, but I don't think it's a problem for us. For me, at least. I think it's a challenge. you know, maybe my next work is not even done by me, you know. So, or maybe ILHAM Gallery want to think about an AI show that the artists don't even exist. It's just AI themselves create a show, and you, as a gallery director, is not even needed. We all don't exist. So yeah, that's something interesting. For them to look at my work, I think, like this show, I think they frame it in the context of the 90s. So when people come and see the work with the text on the wall, you know, with the timeline and all that, so it helped them to actually understand what was the situation during then, technically, conceptually, or culturally and all that. So hopefully, because we always say that without the past, it's very hard for us to go. Without understanding the past, it's very hard for us to go to the question the future. Question, go to future. What do we question? You know, what question is based on what? It's based on the past. So it's based on, you know, what people were doing before and what I want to break. So all this breaking the rules, pushing boundary, has got a reason for what I break from. Yeah. So I'm not so worried about that. Thank you for reminding us about that. Okay.